I am disgusted. Last night, the Indiana Pacers are up 117 to 114 against the Boston Celtics, and we saw Tatum, with 30 seconds left, miss this completely wide open three, which looked like a big choke job for obviously the Boston Celtics. Missed another fadeaway in the paint, but unfortunately, Andrew Nembhard, the Canadian, ended up turning over the basketball up three with the ball in their hands, which led to a crazy Jaylen Brown shot, which sealed the deal, sent the game into OT, and then with that momentum, with that hype, obviously the Celtics were going to win that one in overtime. But frankly, I know this isn't about the Toronto Raptors, and I didn't expect to be as fired up as I was watching this game, but my distaste for the Boston Celtics, the team that they are, all of that type of stuff, and more importantly, Pascal Siakam getting that redemption arc. I want to see this man upset the Boston Celtics after what happened in 2020. I want to see this man redeem himself because he played poorly in that playoff series for the Toronto Raptors. I mean, if he was half the guy he usually was in that playoff series, Raptors easily get that W against the Boston Celtics in the second round of 2020, the year after we won the NBA championship. And a lot of Boston fans, the Bill Simmons of the world, all those types of guys, they're always roasting Pascal Siakam after that playoff series. So I want nothing more than, even though he's not on the Toronto Raptors, him to come back and beat the Boston Celtics. So I woke up this morning still as fired up as I was last night, so I'm doing my reaction on it because frankly, there are some crazy storylines going on this involving Pascal Siakam, his sort of potential, and we also had a look of what potentially could have been for the Toronto Raptors, particularly that Miles Turner-Pascal Siakam pairing. But what's really happening here? Because basically Pascal Siakam in this game was a monster. He put in 24 points, was hitting middies left, right, and center, 12 rebounds, 7 assists in this game, again 12 of 23 shooting, proving that he can be that sort of scoring option, that key piece on a team that's on a deep playoff run. I mean, this team, sure, the Knicks weren't super healthy, so you could say what you want about that playoff series, but they had a couple tough rounds against the Bucks, against the Knicks, and now we're in the conference finals, and Pascal Siakam is playing extremely well on both ends of the floor. He's scoring around the basket. He's just doing his thing out there, which we know he's extremely capable of, and Tyrese Haliburton has had his ups and downs over the course of this playoffs. I guess Pascal Siakam has as well. There's no doubts about that, but frankly, he came out and was showing the Boston Celtics fans the player that he actually is come playoff time. Because with the exception of that bubble year, Pascal Siakam has been a beast for the Toronto Raptors pretty well in every single playoff series. I mean, him and Kawhi Leonard were two dudes that were putting up records. They were making historic sort of duo runs in terms of scoring during that 2019 season. Obviously, Pascal, the major NBA opening to the NBA Finals. Obviously, 2020 was a complete mess for him. It was horrible, that entire bubble run. But then even against the Philadelphia 76ers in 2021, that playoff series following the Tampa take, so I guess that's 2022, he was really good against Philadelphia. Obviously, lots of injuries to the Toronto Raptors that year as well. So it was tough to really get those wins, but Pascal Siakam has proven to be a solid playoff performer, and he's showing that again for this Indiana Pacers team. So again, I want to see nothing more than Pascal Siakam show to the league because, I mean, people sort of overlook the type of player that he is. Pascal Siakam averaging 22 points per game this season, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and I used to be of the sort of mindset, I would be always making arguments, and I'm definitely wrong here now at this point, that he was the better player than Jaylen Brown, who, again, is a little bit younger and all those types of things, but still very similar stats, and I just hate the fact that Jaylen Brown, not only, did the Celtics get the win, but Jaylen Brown also got the sort of clutch moments, the best of this sort of Pascal Siakam, Jaylen Brown one-on-one duo for game one of this playoff matchup, which sucked for me to see as obviously a guy that's rooting for Pascal Siakam, 24/7, even if he's on the Toronto Raptors or not. But frankly, just watching this game, and obviously as Raptors fans, we're always going at the refs. We're always, looking for different bias, especially against the big sort of franchises, the Celtics, the Lakers, the Knicks, and these types of squads. And frankly, this was an issue for the Indiana Pacers last night as well. Basically, you could watch the game live and see all the stuff, but coming into this one, I mean, the Boston Celtics are the team that basically had the highest free throw differential for the playoffs, and then the Indiana Pacers were the last team for it, and there were some weird calls over the course of this game. The Pacers, and in regulation, I believe only have 4 or 6 free throws for the entire game. The Boston Celtics were in the 20s, so that was something that was just pretty noticeable. A few out of bounds calls as well didn't get reviewed, were just immediately thrown the way of Boston. Some aggressive defense from guys like Drew Holiday, Derek White. I know those two guys are elite on-ball defenders, but they were hounding Andrew Nembhard, hounding Tyrese Halliburton, not really getting called for anything down there. So that was tough to see. And then, Brown, Tatum would go into the lane and get the calls right away. Playoff basketball, I'd like to see it, a lot of stuff sort of get let go, but see it sort of one way called was just a tough thing to see. But frankly, I don't know. I want to see Pascal Siakam make this upset so bad. And I've seen a few guys really trash on Andrew Nembhard, who is the Canadian, but frankly, that guy's been a monster throughout the course of these playoffs. Obviously, didn't have the greatest game, but hit that crazy shot against the New York Knicks to basically seal the deal in that series. And even last night, this man put up some really solid stats for the Indiana Pacers. Andrew Nembhard, starting this game, 5 of 10 shooting, 2 of 4 from the three-point line, made 12 points, had 7 assists, and some really tough middies, some really just, clutch shots down the stretch of that game. And that guy played at my nationals. I played nationals, 2014 or something, for Team Newfoundland. He was obviously on Team Ontario with RJ Barrett. So I'm rooting for those guys that came up through that Canadian system. And even though had that unfortunate moment down the stretch of this game, basically Rick Carlisle took responsibility for what ended up happening. Basically, he said the loss is totally on me. With 10 seconds left in regulation, we should have just taken the time out, advanced the basketball, and found a way to get it in, and made a free throw or two and ended the game. Rick Carlisle after the Indiana Pacers, Boston Celtics game 1. So nice to see the coach not blame the young guy, blame the young Canadian out there for, yes, it was a boneheaded inbound pass, but was it's just how it goes. And the Pacers are a young team. They're a young squad. I'm still desperately rooting for them to upset the Boston Celtics in this sort of playoff round. I'm hoping it happens. But frankly, one thing that I see, and it's weird watching this team because I'm so used to watching Pascal Siakam. It's the same way when Kyle Lowry went to the Miami Heat. I'm so used to those little things that they do, the style of offense, just how it looks. When the focal point is a guy that's a former Toronto Raptor. It felt like I was kind of watching a Toronto Raptors game out there now at this point. And frankly, the combination of Miles Turner as well as Pascal Siakam just could have been ridiculous. And the fact that we were rumored for him so much hurts my soul. But basically, I was looking at a stat over there on the Pacers Reddit. Basically, Miles Turner is shooting 46% from behind the arc, the highest percentage for players remaining in the playoffs, according to StatMuse. And the fact that he's a guy that's an elite shot blocker. He's a guy that can really space the floor, as you see with this 3-point percentage. He is the perfect complement to a Pascal Siakam out there in the front court. I know Yakin's skills. I know they had that dynamic duo. I know they had that partnership. I don't want to trash on Jakob Poeltl, but frankly, with the amount of times that we were rumored to acquire Miles Turner, the fact that it didn't end up happening, the fact that, we're witnessing it, a deep Eastern Conference playoff run for that dynamic duo. Obviously, there's more players on this team. Tyrese Halliburton had some weird turnovers, but he is an absolute monster for that Pacers squad. The fact that we're sort of getting to witness what could have been after the years. I probably have about 10, rumored trade videos, reported, trades processing vids on this channel about Miles Turner coming to the Toronto Raptors, and the fact that that didn't happen. Now we're seeing it happen with the Indiana Pacers go on this playoff run. I know it was sort of a collapse last night, having that lead and the ugly sort of ending, but I don't know. It's just what could have been for this Toronto Raptors group if our team just made a little bit more sense, if we had that center of that position and, saw what's going on, especially because Pascal Siakam was a guy that embraced the city, embraced Toronto so much. But I don't know. Tough game for me. I was fired up watching that game last night. I was sickened going to sleep and felt the same way when I woke up this morning. But you guys are the best to make it this far. If you like the new setup, let me know. I'm trying to get used to this tech, trying to, amp up the production value out here on the Raptors Digest videos. But you guys are the best. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comment section down below. I'm signing out. Cheers.